Alright, my name's Derek. I don't like the way that my live stream ended involuntarily last time. So I just had to start it again. I was like, I got ready to go to bed on a live stream, but no, I don't want to have timings dictated to me like that by reality. That's not fair. That's not right. That's not just. That's not true. That's not just. That's not fair. That's not right. That's not true. It's not special. It doesn't matter. It matters too much. One of the two. What I'm amazed by is the genius of this painting. I mean, it's. Raul was here the other day and he did one of his masterpieces. I tell you, that guy, he is some kind of intuitive genius. Anywho, so here's one thing that I noted when I lost my connection last time. I went into the settings and shit. All the fucking Windows firewalls were on. I always turn those things off. It must have automatically turned themselves back on. Okay, now I'm losing it. I thought this was a regular video, not a live stream. You were wrong, Zandy. You were wrong. Now you've left. I'm not sticking around. This is another goddamn live stream, Eric. You're filling my YouTube inbox with trash. Spammy trash. What are you even talking about? Talking about important things. The importance of the things about which I speak is just, I don't know, between 1 million and 1 billion, somewhere out there. Most people don't get above 100 in terms of importance of things they're talking about. Half the conversations in life are about snails. Not very important. Almost all the other half about mundane things, like the upcoming chipmunk hunt. Who will be joining me on this year's chipmunk hunt? Remember, there's a prize for the person who bags the chipmunk with the biggest cheeks. And you cannot shoot them with anything larger than a 44 caliber. It's one of the rules in the chipmunk hunt this year. No heavy artillery. Okay, 44 caliber is as big as the caliber of the ammunition allowed, no matter what, on the chipmunk hunt. Charlie Chipman's Great Chipmunk Hunt is an old tradition. So, I was streaming, everything was going fine. There were a bunch of things in the comments and the chat to look at and to comment upon. And then my internet died, and now look, I gotta start over at zero again. Nobody's here. I gotta entertain myself. I hate playing by myself, Mom. I want some friends to play with. Well, too bad, Eric. Your friends don't like you anymore. You know why? Why, Mom? Because your internet sucks ass. It's not my fault, Mom. Who left the firewalls on? I think update automatically turned it back on. You gotta check that shit. Okay, Mom, fine. God. It's not a good reason for everyone to hate me now. Everybody doesn't hate you. They just don't want to fuck around with your shitty ass internet anymore. Mom, why are you talking to me like that? I've always talked to you like this. Really? Mm-hmm. Really? Like when you were like 3 months old, I said, all right, enough with the crying. What's the fucking problem, shithead? That's how I built a rapport with you. That's not a good parent-child rapport, Mom. It was fine. It was fine. You're fine. I know I'm fine. Doesn't make it okay. I'm not fine, okay? Yes, you are. You're fine. How do you know? You're not me. Yes, I am. I'm you. No, you're not. Wow, what a terrible parent-child relationship those two people are having. They're not communicating effectively. Why not? Because they need to go and take one of Dr. Lionel Sprinting Wolf Kazakwo's symposiums. They need Becky. Or Becky, yeah. You know, according to this little number next to the people, you're not alive, Sandy. You don't exist because it still says 0. And so I guess you don't count. Zandy doesn't count. The YouTube should just announce that if they're going to take that position on things. I think it's not fair to you, Zandy. I'm not going to lie. And now I'm on live chat. Zandy doesn't count would be a totally unfair rule for YouTube to make. I think we both agree on that. If there's anybody else around besides Zandy, I want to know if you don't count also. Please go ahead and just shoot a letter A or something so I can see if there's one person. Maybe now Zandy's counting, or maybe Zandy still doesn't count and there's another person there. Regardless, what was I talking about? Something hugely important. It's just a product of people's imagination. Is that the corporation that's producing your Zandy doll? Which is a doll that looks just like you. The hot new thing for girls ages 8 to 11. I gotta get a Zandy doll too. I'm gonna pretend mine's going down to the supermarket. I'm gonna pretend mine's running a corporation. I'm gonna pretend mine, I don't know, just sitting here like me. 3 girls, 3 Zandy dolls, 3 very different interpretations of Zandy's personality. Which one is most accurate? Hard to say. You can sit down and write an entire book full of possible interpretations of Zandy. You could run the gamut. From mountain stream trout all the way up to president of the world. Who knows? So, anyways, just me and Zandy hanging out tonight. Zandy's doing some knitting. She's knitting a cod piece for the neighbor who requested that she knit him one. And for his goat, a separate cod piece, not the same thing, not the same piece for both. After she's done knitting cod pieces, she plans to go out back, dig a hole. Not for any reason other than it's a preferred form of exercise. I don't blame you, Zandy. It's a good form of exercise. So, how much weight you carry around with you every day, Zandy? Feel a lot of moisture in your heart? A lot of wetness about you in terms of everything is important, everything is, precious, and the sorrows of a real world that's careless and sometimes cruel weigh heavy on you. Like a ton of misery bricks, building a house dedicated to the art of despair, or something else. Do you feel like a piano, public, a courtyard, in a park, people stop by and play upon, bringing joy to the children of the world, day in, day out, until finally the rain causes you to become completely dysfunctional? Only 2 options. I don't know. Yes, it is streaming now. Is it not showing that it's streaming now? Is it messed up? I had 541 comments on what? I mean, on what? On this? On this video? I don't think I had 5. I mean, I'm live streaming right now. There's some sort of problem with YouTube's functionality. It happens sometimes when I finish a live stream and it doesn't end properly because of some sort of malfunction. But after I finished it, I ended the stream. Then I closed the tab to get out of the stream. And I went in and I ended the thing and officially ended the stream. And I waited for it to show up as a video on the list. And then I started the stream. I thought that would take care of it. But apparently not. It still has a problem. I could just end this video and start again. But let me at least address Andy's question. I had a personal question. I struggle with buying plane tickets, or reading legal documents, reserving hotels. I get confused. What function plays a role in that? That's probably Polar TE. That sounds like Polar TE. Sounds like Kimberly. 541 comments on this video. I definitely don't have 541 comments on this video. I am very impressed, though, with the amount of comments that I have on the FE polar test video that I just put up like today. It's already got like 55 comments or something. I don't think any of my videos have 541 comments on them. Maybe like an old one that's got more comments than any. Probably like how to tell if an INTP likes you when Zachary made it. Some moisture. You are demonstrative in your FI, actually. I mean, that's the thing. ISFJs are demonstrative in their FI, which means they're displaying their liking of things and disliking of things. And generally, the reason it's demonstrative is because it's the complement to the tool function. So it's like your FE would like other people to display their FI like you do. And if you're an ISFJ. And for me, it's the same thing with TE. Because I'm a TI tool user. Oh, is it? Well, you might be an INFJ then. That's possible. That's the other possibility for TE polar. And that would be consistent with bad SI, although so bad I had to build a mental map of important events I want to remember. I mean, SI is a little more nuanced to test in that it's like, in some ways you could say Kimberly is very forgetful, but it would be missing the forest for the trees to say that. That thing that you're doing there, that's more sounds like an NI approach to memory, where you're saying you're actively. It's like for Kimberly, repetition and is the means by which things are drilled into her SI. The alternative to repetition, which an ISFJ will use sometimes as an 8th slot function, like my mom did, is to link to mnemonic devices of some sort like that. And that's an NI approach. So my mom did that sort of textbook ISFJ thing where she used her 8th slot NI to bolster her SI, but Kimberly doesn't really do that so much because she's a different person. Dragonizor. Hello there, don't mind me, I'm just curious. Hello, I'm not minding you. I approve of your curiosity. I will be happy to, if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, complaints, queries, whatever, be happy to read it and respond to it, as I always do in these live streams. It's a the more stuff is going on in the chat, the more zesty and lively a live stream will tend to be, because I'll just bounce from thing to thing. Figured I'm a 9FJ with the videos, but I'm entertaining FJ because of the polar TE versus polar SI. You said your SI is really bad, but you're also thinking maybe the TE is really bad. It seems like you understand SI though better than TE. Seems like you have a better sense of what SI is. It's just a gut based on a few comments here. What did you think the answer to the question, struggle buying plane tickets, documents, hotels is? Do you think the answer was TE, or do you think the answer was SI? Well, the thing is, the TE is actually pretty strong in an ENFJ. One thing you could do to help determine the difference between an INFJ and an ENFJ. INFJs, even young ones who grew up with computers, when they encounter a problem with them, they almost always go to somebody else. And for that sort of thing, an ENFJ is much more likely to figure it out themselves, because to them it's wasting FE capital. It's not their tool function. They're more nuanced in their use of it in that regard. So if you think about computer problems, like you can't log into your Mia. Kimberly, if she can't log into her Mia, it's time to throw up her hands and say, Eric. So there's that thing. ENFJs typically will prefer, especially for things that link socially clearly to other things they want. So ENFJs have no problem being perceived as warm. What they really want to be perceived as well as is competent. INFJs are more likely to be perceived as competent than warm, exactly. INFJs are going to be perceived as very socially graceful, but they're not going to be perceived as warm, usually. So, Zandy is perceived as warm in the comments here. Very warm, but that's comments, and I can't tell, So, ENFJs assume they're going to manage that warmth thing deftly in a nuanced fashion because they're FE don'ts. And they have seeking TI. So they want somebody else to do the logical part of it. So in order for them to get a competence aspect of the FE, that they need to have a complete FE package as their NI tool function tells them, they go to TE in their A slot. It serves. Are you freaking kidding me? What the fuck? Am I back? Stupid internet. Okay, I guess I'm back. So, what was I saying? Restore chat. I'm back. Okay. For any FE user, DOM or tool, it's going to be easier to be perceived as warm than competent. Or third slot TI and an intuitive, competence is going to be seen as logical TI success. If you're saying, well, why is it that hidden agenda TI plays out so differently in ISFJ than INFJ? That's a good question. And certainly they do play out very differently. Kimberly wants things to be logically consistent sufficiently for her to defend her position. And that gives her satisfaction when she wins points using logic and stuff. FE, TI third slot with INFJ, they want to become deft enough at TI to hang with the big boys, basically. And a lot of them do successfully. Sinjin is not, it would seem to me, if you were sort of taking as objective a view of it as you can, I'd conclude Sinjin is just as TI effective as I am, and more NIFE effective than I am. But that, of course, the big downside is for INFJ, their only connection to the physical world of causality and actuality is through SE. So it's easier for an ENTP to find that less metaphysical part of the self, I think, than it is for INFJ. I think INFJ, despite ENTP and INFJ both being the most metaphysical in terms of raw calculation, they're both 1, 2, 3 metaphysical. INFJ is the most metaphysical because, you could say that technically, in some ways, ENFJ is the most metaphysical because ENFJ, they sacrifice the experiential knowing, and all they get in exchange is third slot SE instead of fourth slot or something. But you consider about both ENTJ and ENFJ then, and then obviously ENTJ is not the most metaphysical. So at the end of the day, I just have to say INFJ is the one that's going to be, it has the potential to be as good as ENTPs at what they do, and better at ENTPs at what ENTPs don't do quite as well as they should. And that the only real disadvantage they're at is they're not going to do as much of it. But additionally, it's going to be harder for them to really get in touch with themselves than really any other type, in the sense that INFJs can both notice the difficulty, whereas ENTJs and ENFJs cannot, and to a certain extent overcome the difficulty or realize itself. But it's going to be much more challenging for them than for ENTP, because their only ways, naturally and consciously, is through doing externally, which is less consistent with sort of realizing the self than is a knowledge function like SI. So those are some thoughts about that. Yes, those are some thoughts about that. If you're wondering what those were some thoughts about that. You're welcome, Zandy. You are welcome. I have a feeling this live stream is still somehow broken. I would expect to maybe get 6 or 8 at this point at least. But there are 4 people here, so maybe it's not broken still. Regardless, if anybody has any random prompts they want to throw out there, and if they don't have any questions, they can just throw out 2 or 3 words they wanted to. I know I was hoping so too, but I think the live stream is broken in some way. That's why we didn't get these people come back, is because they're not aware I'm live streaming, because you were saying that it was not a live stream. Somebody else said something equivalent, which means there's something fucked up in the machinery. Someone stuck their waddle coot in the machinery, I think. Well, Zandy, I called and I said, Matthew, you were not getting back on that live stream until you deal with the waddle coot problem in your wardrobe, okay? From what I've heard from reliable sources, is as many as 74% or 80% of your pants suffer from waddle coot. So deal with it before I even say, before we go any further, then we can talk about it after we're dealt with it. So I'm doing us all a favor here, Zandy. Oh, yeah. You've got some wriggling shorts, too. You got to measure that leg hole circumference versus the leg circumference. You want that tight on there. If it's a little bit too broad, as like Matthews are like fucking each one's a dress on his leg, you're basically guaranteeing yourself a wriggler. And nobody wants that. So, I mean, apparently he doesn't even wear underwear. I mean, this is just what I've heard, okay? Well, I mean, he says he wears underwear, quote unquote. But really, it's just his pockets that are on the inside of his pants. He calls that his underwear. Yeah. So that explains his absence. Dragonizor. I'm assuming you pronounce the X as a Z in that instance. Dragonizor. Or is it Dragony Exor? Or Dragon Yexor? Or is it Dra Ganyexer? Could be that. Could be drag on your door, dog. Drag on your door. Drag on my door. But my family is poor. So let's see how this poem goes so far. Put a drag on the door, put a rag on my floor. My carpet is shag, but my family is poor. My internet lags. And my internet lags. So I go to the store